Hi. So I tell a lot of lies. Allow me to explain. They're the kind of lies that I think everybody will tell just in their day-to-day lives. Like, oh my God, it was so nice to meet you, or I love it, I'll wear it tomorrow. Um, I feel like I have a lot of practice telling lies because when I was 16, which is when the story takes place, I lied my head off. I wanted to be liked. I wanted people to think that I was interesting. I wanted to be an actor. So I lied a lot about the famous people that I knew and a lot of auditions that obviously never went anywhere, but I got that close, guys. I would come into school a lot, going like, oh, just this weekend, I had a great meeting at the Disney Channel, and it's down to me and one other guy, Shia something, I don't know. I always left an out for myself, but the one time I told a lie, and I didn't leave an out for myself, it was because I had fallen in love. Her name was Lynn Rodacher. She was 32. She was my sophomore English teacher, and I hope that everybody has the kind of teacher, that teacher, you know, the one that just cracked everything open. Like, she's the reason, Mrs. Rodacher is the reason that I love to read and I love to write. And she was tall and she was beautiful and she had this long, you know, like early aughts blonde hair and these enormous blue eyes. And when she looked at you, she was like there. She was present with you. Excuse me. And I felt like I was the only person in the entire world, and I wanted that for myself. I wanted to marry her. So I did everything that I thought of as a 16-year-old would. I stayed in her classroom during lunch and helped her grade papers. I helped her walk things to her car after school. I didn't really listen to music as a teenager. I listened to a lot of stand-up comedy specials, and so I would steal their jokes and lie and pretend that they were mine, and I seemed really, really funny. And because I was in her classroom all the time, I seemed really, really bright. The whole year went by, and I could never get the light bulb to turn on for her. May came around, and the seniors were getting ready to go to college. The juniors had just taken the SATs, and the sophomores were doing their final projects, which was writing a poem. We had been studying poetry, and she was kind of like the, what's the movie? Oh, Captain, My Captain. What's the name of the movie? Robin Williams?
Dead Poet Society.
Dead Poet. Yeah, she was exactly like that because she gave us these incredibly sexy poems by John Donne and Adrian Rich and Allen Ginsberg that you shouldn't have been reading when you were 16, but we did, and it was amazing because poetry could be sexy. And I thought, that's it. That's what I'll do. I'll write an amazing, amazing, sexy, sensual, mature poem for Mrs. Rodacher that will show her that my love is manly. And I'll paint a picture of what I was like when I was 16. I was as tall as I am now, but about 40 pounds lighter. I had hair that came down to my jaw, but it was parted right in the middle. I wore cargo pants and graphic tees and tied the sleeves of a flannel around my waist and Vans, and I had braces, so it was a maelstrom of handsomeness. I was also incredibly lazy, and I procrastinated a lot, and I knew that if I tried to write this poem myself, it would be a disaster. So what I did was I thought that stealing jokes, pretending to be interesting, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump to out-and-out plagiarism. So I went to Barnes & Noble, I bought a book, it was called To My Beloved by John Dickinson. It was a book of poetry. I found the poem that I was going to send to her, or give to her, and I returned the book for a refund, and I turned in the poem. The week waiting for her to grade it was absolute agony. I had these incredibly elaborate fantasies of her sitting on her couch in her pajamas, grading just poem after poem after poem by these greasy 16-year-olds, and like, you know, the rhymes are so obvious and the meter is so predictable, and then she finds mine, and her breath is taken away, and she's, I wouldn't have known, Spencer, I am shocked that you feel this way about me. I mean, it's only 2 years until you're 18. I'll only be 34. And then 3 years after that, you'll be able to have a drink at our wedding. I have so much to look forward to with you, Spencer. On Thursday morning, she found me before school started. And she said, Spencer, sit down. And we sat down on a bench, and she pulled the poem out of her black portfolio bag. And she said, Spencer, this is one of the best things that any student of mine has ever written. And she looked me right in the eye with those blue eyes of hers, and she said, Spencer, I want you. And my heart stopped, but then she finished her sentence. To read this at the school assembly on Monday, and time stopped. And I said, the school assembly in front of everybody. And she said, yeah, the principal will be there, the superintendent of the school district will be there, the deputy mayor of Burbank will be there. And I didn't hear anything after that, because after that it was just blood pounding in my ears and a voice in the back of my head saying, oh, you fucked up. The romance that she and I had was just going to disappear entirely, and somebody was going to find out. Somebody was going to see that I hadn't written the poem, and she said, will you do this? Will you read it at the assembly? And I said, yeah, of course. So I had the rest of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of a 3-day weekend, and all of Monday until the 1 o'clock assembly to just watch this freight train coming at me. Coming clean wasn't an option. Telling the truth was not an option, because you can imagine how I would have felt to disappoint Mrs. Rodacker. The assembly starts. I'm so nervous. All I can hear is just my own shallow breathing. I forget the words to the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody just goes up and talks and talks and talks, and I hear none of it until my name cuts through like a bell, and I go to the front of the stage. And I read my poem, which I have with me. And I won't read the whole thing, because that would be cruel. The white moon, like a beautiful whore, eggs the lovers on. I have been awake for hours watching you. Lively at rest, the sheets gathered up around your hips like tumescent waves. Your breasts are perfect. The hair where your thighs meet is brown and soft to look at, like a nest of field mice. In my defense, I didn't write that, but when I was 16 and a virgin, that seemed about right. Now, here's the thing. The assembly was right after lunch. Everybody was tired. The other speakers had been talking for such a long time. No one was paying attention. And I read it so fast and so quietly that if anybody did recognize the poem, they wouldn't have heard it. Mrs. Rodacker came up to me afterward, and she said, Spencer, congratulations. That went okay. And I said, thank you very much. And she said, aren't you going to congratulate me? And I said, what for? And she said, the superintendent gave me an award because my AP students did so well this year. And I said, yeah, okay, cool, congratulations. But before I could finish it, a guy came up behind her and said, congratulations, babe. And she said, Spencer, let me introduce you. This is my fiance. And he was kind of tall and muscular and weird looking and sweaty, and his name was Rodney. And I hated him because I realized the last 9 months of my life had been wasted. My first existential crisis was right on time at the age of 16 as I stood there amidst the shambles of my lie and broken romance. Rodney went away, and Mrs. Rodacker said, so what's next? What do you want to happen next for your poem? There's a statewide competition I could submit it to. The winner gets published. And I said, no, thank you. No, that's not really what I wanted. She said, okay, that's fine. It saves me all the paperwork. Thank you.